Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast. I was not able to upload it on time. We are a bit late today. Actually, we start already after market opening. I got sick over the weekend. And yeah, anyway, we started very interesting. Trump is starting a trade war as it seems. So we started with the big gaps into the new trading week. A lot of the setups I prepared towards the end of the week already, and which were on the watch list were already obsolete early this morning after market opening. We can see here we had quite a big movement already, and we start on the DXY on the weekly time frame. We had this strong bullish reversal week last week, and we are still trading within the area we were identifying before multiple times, where the long play was still in play. Basically, we were looking last week for a continuation short in this area here, because we were just on this low here to the left where which we identified for the last line in the sand for a potential sell-off. However, we started strong with the gap this morning and are fully back within structure for a continuation long, a potential continuation long. Moving on to the Euro US dollar. So we can see we are somewhere in no man's land right now. So I'm not interested to trade anything in here. It's potential closing the gap might be an option, but however, we are not turning around or tapping into any significant area of interest or neither a value area. So I'm more interested for price to further sell off and then look what will happen in this area. If we get a continuation short, something like through price here, I'm okay to enter a continuation. And on the other hand, if we see a rejection of price here followed by a bull flag continuation on the lower time frame, then I would enter a long play here for potentially closing the gap during this week. Australian dollar US dollar on the 4-hour time frame. Sorry for that, my internet is a bit slow here. We see here we already tapped into a bit more significant area of interest. So we tapped here into this low, but on the higher time frame it would still make sense to continue to sell off, especially when we say that the DXY is going further up. However, it would make more sense here if we see during London session a strong reversal into structure again, and then followed by some bull flag continuation. I would enter along from this area because we tapped already into a more significant area of interest here to the left. However, on the other hand, if we get a bear flag continuation in this area here, then of course, yeah, we would pivot or actually we would trade in line with the overall sentiment of a stronger DXY and enter a short continuation. However, when we see this kind of market openings and these gaps, it might take a few days for price action to normalize before we then see a clear new way in direction. So we are not stressing and forcing any entry at the moment. Pound US dollar looks a bit better, slightly better. We had here more of a bullish continuation, then completely dropped out this morning and are now here also sitting on a smaller area of interest, which would make sense for a bearish continuation. We also have the gap here to the left to a higher time frame value area, so it would make sense to get some form of a smaller bear flag continuation here and then enter a short in this area. Australian dollar yen and New Zealand dollar yen, they look both very similar. We had this strong sell-off here, and we are here also. We were tapping into an area of interest to the left here. So it's basically the same play. We have to give the market some time to calm down and then give us some more clear direction. It could go either way. If we get bear flag continuation in this area, especially below this price level, then of course we will enter a short continuation here. However, if we see early next week or early this week a complete changing momentum, breaking back in, and then a lower time frame bull flag continuation, of course we would enter along again. Same goes for New Zealand dollar yen. New Zealand dollar yen as well on an area of interest to the left here. We tapped slightly into price, but with this big gap, so we would handle it exactly the same way. If we get if we get a bear flag continuation on this level, we would continue a short. Otherwise, we would look for a long place closing this gap. Pound New Zealand dollar. Pound New Zealand dollar is an interesting one. We were looking already for a bullish continuation here in this area. We see today we completely broke out. We are here now on the areas which some smaller areas of interest, but we still have the gap to close to the higher time frame value area up here. So I'm only looking for a long continuation here. Would like to see some form of a bullish continuation in this area to enter along. Euro pound is a complete change in sentiment. After breakout of this structure here, we were discussing that the last few weeks already. We were looking for long continuations, but we failed multiple times here. Instead, price turned around and showed 2 weeks of bearish momentum and now a drop further down. And we are now looking for a bear flag continuation to close the gap into this higher time frame value area here to the low. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Here we are still within structure. We were discussing that last week already with an expanding structure here, which could go either way. An expanding structure could be a reversal structure or a continuation structure. So looking for this more as a continuation structure with the 1, 2, 3. So I'm waiting for price to come down, tapping into this liquidity area here for a long continuation in this area. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. This is also a level here we identified for some time. We tapped now into it, but very, very bullish momentum. So we will wait for a clear confirmation or a clear rejection of this area. So preferably maybe break through one more time and then follow by a bear flag continuation on the lower time frame for a bearish continuation into this low, closing these gaps here. And now finally New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. This pair is following structure fairly well. We discussed that a few times. We had here a failed bearish continuation in this area. We were looking at that like 3-4 weeks ago already, how it really follows higher time frame structure. However, we see here we have actually a nice ascending structure, but we did not tap into this area of interest to the left. So therefore everything is still possible. I want to see clear confirmation in price. The third touch did just miss this area, so therefore I would not be surprised if we tickle down one more time and then see that more as a bullish continuation to close the gap here. However, if we see price breaking through and then followed by bear flag, I would enter a short and change my bias at least into this previous low here, and then we get maybe a bigger, higher time frame bearish continuation. Okay, that's it. See you next week.